It's a big question these days. What does it cost to run a cow lately? It was the topic at hand during a session of the 2008 Cattlemen's College held in Reno, Nevada. Stan Beavers from Texas Cooperative Extension Service explains that costs have greatly increased in the last 20 years, but says there are ways to evaluate your herd costs.
You've seen a big run-up in cattle prices over the last 4 years for the cost to maintain them. So we wanted to spend some time and look at exactly what those costs were. I've got data in the state of Texas. We use 56 herds that from 2003 to 2006 to see exactly what their cow costs were. Given that data, the numbers were about $560 a cow over the 56 herds. Now, when I started this job about 20 years ago, I could pretty much say that it cost $1 a day to keep a cow, $365. So in 20 years, it's gone up about 200 bucks a head. The bulk of that has been in the last 4 years. As we start talking about rising fuel costs, rising fertilizer costs, interest costs, the question is where it's going to end. Traditionally, over that database, the top three costs were labor and management cost, then depreciation, and then purchase feed costs. That doesn't necessarily mean that me as an individual rancher, that's where they pan out. But we need to be able to identify what's your greatest five costs. And what we try to tell people is if you know those five, then we need to determine whether it's manageable in the short term or the long term. Because think about it from the standpoint of high feed cost in any 1 year. Well, if I have high feed costs, can I explain it by, well, gosh, Stan, I was in a drought. Well, okay, I'm going to have high feed costs in a drought. If it was a pretty normal rainfall year and I've got high feed costs that's kind of out of the norm, then that's probably a short-term issue that we really need to look at. Are you reaping the benefits of high production by incurring that high feed cost? So we start making those little looks and trying to identify what stands out about any particular ranch. And I wish I could tell you that there was one thing about, that we could make a statement on every ranch, but you just can't do that because every ranch is individual. First and foremost, identify the number of females that you have on January 1 of any year. Then either get your income statement or your Schedule F or whatever accounting information you have for your interest cost, your fertilizer cost, all your chart of account expenses. Divide that expense by that number of females. And you start to identify specifically what those costs are per cow. And when you look at that, then you can start to identify, and you can even go to various databases, including my database that says, feed costs should be about $70 a cow given this condition. Well, if you start doing that for yourself, you start identifying where your high costs are and you start trying to do something about it.
Knowing your beginning female inventory and your expenses per cow is really the first step to evaluating management changes for your cow herd.